So I want to take some time today and go over the process of being able to make a poster or some other type of visual using just the basic programs that you have on your computer or on the internet. So we're going to start by using this program here called Canva. Canva is a relatively free program, and it is a great resource for using design. We are also going to use this website right here called Pexels. This has royalty-free photos and videos available. And we're also going to use PowerPoint today to get started. Now, for making a poster, and one of the assignments that I do with students is to make a movie poster for a movie that they are recreating. And so we go back to the 1980s and we recreate a brand new, we re-envision an 80s movie in modern society. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to just kind of build off of it. I may not follow through with everything that goes on in the classroom, but you'll get the idea of what we're going to be doing and how you can put these elements together to make your poster. So I want to start off by using the movie Top Gun. It was one of my favorites, and it is a movie that they are currently rebooting, and it just is a really good one for being able to use for this particular activity. So I'm going to search in Pexels to get started. And what I want to search for is a fighter jet. And we're going to see what kind of images come up. One of the reasons that I like Pexels is because it gives you so many options for images. And these are all free downloads. So I can pick whichever one I like, and this one seems good enough. I'm going to go ahead and click on that one. Now, you do not have to sign up for anything here. You can see that your download has already started. You can just click away and that turns that off. And I'm going to go ahead and close that image. And just to make sure that I have a couple of other images that kind of go nicely with it, I'm going to find another plane. And we'll go ahead and we'll use this one right here. And I like the textures in the background, which will allow us to actually demonstrate another skill here. So I'm going to go ahead and click free download. And again, I'm going to close that. I'm going to close that image. So now both of my images are right down here. Now you can see that all of these images have backgrounds to them. And that's nice if you want to keep the image intact. But I don't always like to do that. So I'm going to come back over here to PowerPoint and work with the images that I just downloaded from Pexels. And you can see when you open up PowerPoint now, one of the things that it offers are design ideas. And I really like that they've started to do this. But here's one of the cool features with this. If I hit Insert and I choose Pictures from this device, and I choose Downloads because that's where my files went. Here are my two downloads. I'm going to go ahead and insert that. And now you can see that PowerPoint has incorporated my image into different design elements. So it allows you to kind of stay with your theme and be able to incorporate that into your presentation, which I really like. We're not going to go ahead and do that today. I'm going to go ahead and shrink this down. And then I'm going to insert my other picture like so. And I'm going to shrink that one down. Now, again, I said we're coming over here so we could remove these backgrounds because I don't always want to have access to that. What I really want are just the airplanes here. And so I'm going to be able to do that by selecting the picture. And under the Format tab, I'm going to choose Remove Background. And PowerPoint's trying to think for me and saying, okay, this is what I'm identifying as background. I need to resize this just a little bit so that it fits the entire airplane. And once I've done that, this one was actually quite easy because it did identify everything around this plane as background. So I'm going to go ahead and say keep changes. And now you can see I don't have any background getting in the way of this picture. And I'm going to right click on this and do a save as picture. And we'll give this a name. And I'm going to do the same thing with this image right over here. And I have a feeling because of the background and the mountains, the way this design is, that it's going to be a little bit more work. And we're going to go ahead and resize and let's see what happens. And just as I thought, it did pick up some of the mountain range as the background. Now that doesn't mean that we are done and we cannot use this image. I'm going to go ahead and increase my size here just a little bit so that I can work. And we can actually add or remove areas. And there's actually a little bit of both of those things that I need to do in here. So I'm going to start with marking areas to remove. So I select that. And unlike Photoshop, where you actually have to trace the image and work out exactly what you want to keep, this is actually a lot easier. I can just draw a line and it's going to say, oh, this is what you want to remove. Now, when I did that, though, it pulled this little bit of glass right here. So I'm going to say mark areas to keep. And I'm just going to come right in here. And it brings that right back in. Now you can see over here, I have part of the wing that I want to bring back in, or part of the tail. So I'm going to just draw a quick line there, marking areas to keep still. And of course, doing that meant that it's grabbing some of the areas around it, and that's okay. You can be as detailed with this as you would like, or you can choose to just eliminate certain things and say, I just don't want to work with this picture. I don't mind taking a few minutes to get exactly what I'm looking for here. You can see there's a little bit of this mountain right in between the wings that PowerPoint couldn't identify. So we're going to try to knock that out. There we go. And I'm going to just do a little bit of touch up in here. I'm going to zoom in. The closer you zoom in, the easier some of this becomes. And I'll just do a little touch up on the wing there. There we go. And a little touch up on the wing there. And I'm going to remove a little bit more just from that bit right there. All right, so I've got a pretty good detail in there. You can see right here, there's one little piece maybe I can capture real quick. Oops. So I actually marked an area to remove and I wanted to keep it. So just go up here, delete mark, and click on that mark and it should go away. There it is. And I'm going to mark an area to keep. And I'm just going to work right down that line. I got to do a little bit more touch up there. Now, one of the things that I like about showing students how to do this is that when they give presentations, I now don't have to deal with the big white box around pictures that I think takes away from their presentation. So when they are working with a good background and they want to throw an image in, now all of a sudden we have this big white box that's covered on a blue background or a designed background or something like that. And to me, it takes away from that image. So it's a few minutes. I took out the background there. I'm going to go ahead and right click on this. I'm going to save as picture. And I'm going to give this another name so that we have that image saved. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave these here for right now. We'll come back to PowerPoint in a little bit. And now I'm going to come over here to Canva. and I'm going to start working in my poster. Now, Canva has lots of templates that you can choose from. Posters happen to be one, but if you scroll through, there's a lot of different opportunities for you to work in here and create designs. I'm going to just type in the word poster because that's going to pull up all of my different templates for posters. And you can see there's a lot to choose from: colors, sizes, styles, different formats, different fonts. There's a lot to choose from. Or you can actually just start with a blank one, which is what we're going to do today. And we are going to start with this blank file. And my page is up right here. I'm actually going to change my size to 50%, but you can see I actually do have a canvas right in here. There's a grid line for it. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and back out to 25% just to get started. So there you can see my blue line around the page. So I have a blank document, and I can go back and choose any of these templates if I wanted to do that. Now, we're going to go ahead and look at different photos within Canva here. And there's a lot of different options with this. With Canva, you can search, and they actually are tied to Pexels, which is that website we were at earlier in this session. Or I can search here. One of the things that I like about using Pexels, though, is that if I'm going to do this, and I'm going to type sky, and you can see some of these say free on it. That means that I'm able to use this background or this picture for free. And some of them have this little crown, which is the pro version. There is a monthly subscription fee. They have a 30-day free trial, but I believe it's somewhere right around $9.99 a month for the pro version. I've never used that, but you do get access to a lot more features. I've just never seen a need to do that. So I'm going to work just within the free version here, and I'm going to find a sky that I like. Actually, I think there's a couple right back up here, and I'll go ahead with this one. Now, if I click and drag this, and I drag it just to the edge, then Canva automatically fits it to my entire page. So this is nice if you're trying to just add a background in there. If I don't like the way that one looks in there, I can move it around a little bit. If I hit crop, I can pick a different area of that sky, or I can just undo that and I can choose a different sky if there's a different one that I like. Maybe this one will be better. And so I can add that in there. I do kind of like this one because my students will have some work to do down here. And let me just see if I incorporate that. That looks good. And I'm going to go ahead and click done. So now I have my sky, which is basically my backdrop for my movie poster. Now I want to bring in my planes because they are a huge element in the entire Top Gun concept. And remember, I saved those images on the computer. Well, I have to get them onto the internet. So I'm going to go to Uploads. I'm going to upload an image. And I'm going to go into my pictures, which is where I'm at. And I'm going to choose plane 3 and 4. Those are the ones that I just created. I did a demonstration with this a little bit earlier. That's why I have planes 1 and 2 there also. So here's planes 3 and 4. If I select both of them, I hold the shift key down and click on both. I can click open, and I can bring them both into Canva at the same time. Now, for pictures that I don't want to take up the entire size, I'm just going to go ahead and click on this, and it drops my picture in. I can resize this. I can reposition it a little bit. And I can drag it and move this around on the screen. It doesn't even have to stay on the screen. If I just want part of it on there, I can maneuver it like that. Let's bring this other one in. If you guys are familiar with the movie Top Gun, then you know that plane scenes of the chase is a big part of that entire movie. And of course, we've got sometimes bigger planes going against smaller planes. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that one right there. And I'm going to have this one following behind it. So there's a little bit of a plane scene so that you have your fight scene for Top Gun. Of course, that's going to help sell the movie. Now, the star of the movie is always important. They're going to get top billing on our poster, but we want to make sure that they actually are visible in here. And without really good Photoshop skills, sometimes it's hard to pull out the right person and get the image that you're looking for, and try to find a way to connect them into these planes or something like that. So I'm going to show you just a little technique that might make your job a little bit easier in trying to incorporate elements into Canva. And that is, we're going to find a guy in sunglasses here. And I'm looking for somebody that kind of fits the mold of a fighter pilot. Somebody that's kind of got that cool look about them. Remember, this is Tom Cruise made. All right, so I'm going to do a search for a man in sunglasses. If you remember, Tom Cruise made that role. Incredibly famous, but he always had the Ray-Bans on and the leather jacket. And so we're going to try to find somebody that fits that mold. For an in-class project, you could certainly just look up Tom Cruise if that's who you wanted to incorporate. Or if you prefer, you can teach the students about royalty-free images and not having complete access to pictures just because they are on the internet, which is why I like using Pexels, because these are free images. They are allowed to be used for projects and both personal and professional use. So this guy here kind of fits the image. So we're going to go ahead and select that. You do have to have the right look for your movie poster. So I'm going to download that. You can see it's downloading there. I'm going to close that image. And again, I'm going to come back over here to PowerPoint, and I'm going to insert the picture from this device. And here's our guy. And I can resize this. And of course, we can take out the background, but I can also crop this to kind of fit exactly what I'm looking for. And so I can get rid of his motorcycle altogether and just work off of this particular part of the picture, which I will do. And I'm going to do another remove background. And I think we should be fine for the most part with this, being able to just resize it to fit our cooler guy in here. And I'm going to go ahead and resize that up to his hair. Okay, so we got a couple of minor adjustments to make. A little bit right there. That's good. And we're going to mark one area to remove right there. And I'm going to say keep changes. So now we've got our star, and we're going to save picture as. And I'm going to just go ahead and click OK. And well, we're going to go back to Canva and go into our poster. And I want to incorporate our star right into the middle of this. So we're going to upload that image. And I'm going to reposition him in here. Now this kind of looks ridiculous because I've got this guy, he's in the sky, he's covering the planes. I can push him backwards, but I can also make him a little bit more transparent. So he kind of gets that top billing, he's able to be seen, but at the same time, I'm keeping him kind of out of the way of other important elements of my poster. And of course, I can flip him the other direction to see if I like that look better, which I personally do. So there's our star now in the middle of our poster. I'm going to reset some of these elements, and let's make him even a little bit larger. So he is the star of the movie after all. Now you can see here that he's covered that plane. I'm just going to bring that plane to the front. And now we don't have any issues there with that. And we've created sort of the illusion of contemplation. One of my favorite movie posters is The Outsiders. And if you remember Pony Boy kind of looking off into the distance there in one of those posters, I think that's just kind of a great look. It was sort of a transparent look on that as well. And it really set the tone for his character and what he meant to that movie. So we're going to go ahead and bring him into this part of the image here. Now, we need to put a movie title on here. So now this is Top Gun, and I already did this a little bit earlier. So I'm going to walk you through the process for doing it. But one of the things that I like to incorporate is my own bit of creativity, but at the same time, I want to keep sort of that nod to the original. So I type in Top Gun font, and they actually do have a lot of these old movies have fonts online that you can actually go download. And here is the Top Gun font. And you can see this, it's got all of the imagery that goes around it, and it kind of fits the entire movie there. You can actually download one from Urban Fonts as well. You can see there's a little bit different look of that. So let's go ahead and download this one from Urban Font, just so I can show you how that process works. So here you have the lettering. You can see exactly how that's going to look on your screen. We're going to go ahead and click download. And this is something that students actually have access to, being able to download and load fonts on their computer. So here you can see it's downloaded as a zip file. I'm going to go ahead and open that zip file. And what I want to open is this one here called the True Type font. So I'm going to double click on it. And you can see that this does all the different sizes of what that font's going to look like. When you see the font show up here, what you want to look for is, are all of the letters being represented in this? Because some of the fonts can't be read by PowerPoint or by the Windows version that you might be running or whatever it might be. You can see that the numbers do not fit the font. So any numbers that you do, you won't be able to see in this type of font. This is strictly for letters. And then what I want to do is click Install. And it's going to ask, do I want to replace this? I don't want to replace the font because I've already put a font in there called Top Gun. And I'm going to say no. But you're going to install this font. It's that simple. And then when you come over to PowerPoint, normally you would close out of PowerPoint and then you can go back in. But if I come in here, and I'm going to do a new slide for this, and I'm going to do a title slide here, and I'm going to type in all caps, Top Gun. And I'm going to select the box. You can also highlight this. Whoops. You can highlight this if you want. And then I'm just going to choose my fonts. And I've done this with several different fonts. This is from a movie 28 Days Later. I've downloaded the Goonies font on here. There's a couple of others that I really like that I wanted to just make sure that I had in case I ever decided to do any projects. I'm going to scroll all the way down here because they are alphabetical. And I'm going to choose my Top Gun font. So you can see the Top Gun font is now loaded in here. It does not have the wings and star like we saw in the original image of it. That's fine. I don't need it to. But what I like to do is I'm going to go ahead and we can adjust our size here. It doesn't really matter. But so I'm going to go ahead and shrink down my text box. And then I'm just going to copy and paste this. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to do this in blue and create one here in a red. Yeah. Let's go with that red. And the reason I need to do that is because without the paid version of Canva, you can't load fonts into Canva. So what I end up having to do is I work over here in PowerPoint and then I save these as pictures. So I'm going to call this one Top Gun Blue. And you can save these in any color that you want, depending on what you want to do with it. So now let's go back over to our Canva. And we're going to be back in our design here. And I want to upload those Top Gun images. And I'm going to put this blue one in. Oh, sorry, I need to upload these. And you can see these upload without having a background on them. So that's nice to have access to. I'm going to upload that red one too, just to make sure that I have all three in case I want to make a change later. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the Top Gun blue in here. And I'm going to move this now. When I move images around in here, you can see that I get grid lines. This one right now is vertical. That's kind of showing me where the border of my page is. So I'm going to run that right up there to the top. And I'm going to leave that one in blue. You know, I don't think I like the blue. Let me put the red one in here. Let me see how that one looks. There we go. I'm going to use the red one. So I have my Top Gun here, and I can crop this. And I can crop my image a little bit. Just to get that little extra space out of there. Now, in the original font, it had the wings and the star here. So we're not going to do that. I said I just like to keep a little nod to the original. So we're going to stick with the font, but I'm going to put another image in here. So I'm going to go back to my photos and I'm going to type in a flag. We're going to make this the All-American Movie here. And again, you can see this one's free, that one's free, that one's free. There's a lot of these, and then this one goes to the pro version. So I kind of like this one. I'm going to go ahead and click that and put that in there. And again, I can resize this, and you can see the grid lines, so it's showing me where it's centered right there. I got the plus, so I'm good. And I'll move this to the back. And I've got that top gun. But this is a little bit too clean, I think. We need something that's got a little bit more character to it. So I'm going to go ahead and take that flag out of there. And I'm going to use one of these elements. And I like the elements because you can do a lot of different things with them. They do have shapes that are strictly just shapes, but anything that has a sort of landscape type look to it is what's called a placeholder. And it's basically holding a place for an image. So you could do this with grids, or you can do it with different images or what they call frames. So I'm going to go ahead and click See All on the frames, and I'm going to find one that I think fits my look a little bit better. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick this one here, and I'm going to place that in there. Now you can see it's got kind of a tattered look to it. And so what that means is that when I go back to my photos and I click and drag this flag over, there we go, it's going to take the shape of that tattered look. So when we look at history pictures and a lot of from the different wars, a lot of times we get that tattered flag look, and just has a lot of character and qualities to it. So now I'm going to bring those into here. And again, I'm going to resize this a little bit. And I am going to push it back behind that top gun, but I can also fade that a little bit and make it a little bit easier to read my top gun. Or I could always add a frame and just make that flag go all the way across the top like so, and find other ways to incorporate this. So now we have our heading for the movie poster. And one of the things that we need to be careful with is, like, now if I want to move this top gun, I need to make sure that I don't change the entire feature there. So what I want to do with this is I'm going to select my flag and I'm going to lock it. And then that allows me to center my image on that flag and gives me a little bit better look. And then I don't worry about having to reset that image behind it. So that worked out nicely, and I can leave that right there. Now, of course, we've got to put our billing on here. So I'm going to go ahead and add a text. And I like to use the subheading. I'm not a big fan of these here that say add a little bit of body text. The formatting just never seems to work out the way I hope. And so we're going to have this movie starring Steve Cruise, because Tom Cruise is not in it. And I'm going to just reposition our text box, and I can change the font to a red. I can make it bold, and I actually can change the font, and I get a lot of different options. Again, options that you would not find in Word or PowerPoint, you have access to in here. Anything with the gold crown is part of the Pro version, so you want to stay away from those. But you can scroll through, and you actually could scroll, it seems like forever, because of the number of fonts that you have access to. I'm just going to go ahead and pick this one simply because it's near the top and it's got sort of a big bold look to it. So I'm going to just resize my box. And I now have my movie poster for the most part done. So this is just a couple of different elements that you can incorporate there. And of course, all this area down here, I could add a text box. I can add my motion picture rating. I can add the producers, the production studio, the director, the other actors, anything that goes down here in the details. I've got a lot of opportunities that I still have space for down here at the bottom of this. When we are done, we can actually print directly to Canva, and they will send these to you. It costs money, of course, to do that, but you can print posters, business cards, flyers, direct mail pieces, index card type items, and you can order these in bulk, and they actually do a really good job. They get them to you quickly. It really is a great program. We're going to choose download, and you can download this as a PDF file or a JPEG or a PNG. Because of what we're doing, I'm going to go ahead and do a PNG. That way I get that high quality. And I'm going to just go ahead and click download. And it says preparing my design. And there it is. It's going to go into my downloads folder. So then I'll be able to submit from there. I can go ahead and close that. And because this is web-based, I can actually click on the Home tab. And everything that I was doing has automatically been saved to my designs. So there's my poster. I can click back in here. And you may decide that you don't like the look of one of the elements in your poster. So I can come back in here, make sure that it is unlocked, and I can increase the size of that element. And Canva likes to keep everything in proportion, so you can't just stretch one way or the other for many of the items, but you can increase the size. And so I can set this and move this backward. So I still have the fade, I still have my star being seen, and I still have the fighter jets. And of course I have my title, my star, and everything is now in place. So I like the look of my poster. I'm going to go to the top, choose download, change to PNG, and I'm going to select just page 1, choose done, and click download. And again, it goes to preparing my design. My download is going to pop up in the bottom left corner when this is complete. There we go. And I'm going to close this. And I am ready to submit my file once I have completed. Now it does show up as untitled design. I can change that to Top Gun poster. And then when I would download, it will show up as Top Gun poster in my download file. So I hope that you have found this tutorial helpful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send me an email.